Hey guys, it's Brian from the Riley Smith team. I want to talk to you today about HOAs, homeowners associations. What are they? What are the pros? What are the cons? Should you be looking in a neighborhood that has a homeowners association if you're looking to buy a home, or should you be avoiding those? So I want to share some of the common misconceptions, and I thought that the best place to do that, of course, Zillow Facebook comments. So I'm on the Zillow Facebook page. I got some of the comments here. I'm just going to read them. I think this is a very accurate representation of some of the general opinions of homeowners associations that you might hear, although I think that it's not a very accurate representation of reality around homeowners associations. Imagine that, Facebook comments that aren't realistic. Cheryl says, if it has an HOA, I won't even look. No nosy neighbor's going to tell me what I can or can't do with my own property. Cheryl's putting down the laying the law, putting her foot down on HOAs. All right, so Dexter agrees with Cheryl. He says, you never know. Some of the houses in the neighborhood might be owned by people like Donald Trump. We need to obey people that has money. No idea what Dexter's talking about, but okay. David says, HOAs are a ripoff. It's the only rock in my shoes at my condo. First of all, condo is not a homeowners association. It's a condo association. So that could be part of the problem that David's having. I don't know if he knows where he lives or not. But I'll talk more about that in a second. Let me see here. Janet says, that's where we agree. Somebody's actually agreeing in the Facebook comments. That's where we agree. It's my home and nobody's going to tell me I have to pay to have whatever I want in it. I don't understand what she means by that. Of course you have to pay to have whatever you want inside your house. Usually the HOA is talking about what's on the outside of your house, but SD Garrett, too cool for a first name, says, I shouldn't throw out last names like that, but SD, there are two types of people who like HOAs. Nosy snitches and control freaks. Thank you, SD. Thomas says, I seceded from my HOA. I have a feeling Thomas didn't actually secede from his HOA. I don't even know where to begin on that one. Cynthia also agrees with Cheryl. So again, all these people are actually agreeing, which is rare on Facebook. Of course, there's a lot of people that didn't disagree, but shocker, those are the people that their comments weren't as fun to read. So Cynthia agrees with Cheryl. Unless they're paying my mortgage, taxes, and insurance, they need to keep their noses in their own business. Responsible grown adults do not need babysitters. I have multiple vehicles, including 2 hot rods, a camper, motorcycle, ATVs, etc. All are in good shape, and I will not pay to store them when I own the property I put them on. Cynthia is the exact reason why HOAs exist in the first place. Scott says, if it has an HOA, you can see my taillights as I drive away. Too many Nazis. I don't even know if I should joke about that one. Okay, I'm not going to joke about that one. That's Scott's opinion. Anyway, so here's the real facts about HOAs. An HOA, as I said, and as everybody pretty much knows, is a homeowners association. So if you own a home in a neighborhood that has an HOA, congratulations, you are the HOA. You're a member of it anyways. It's an association of homeowners. You're a homeowner, you belong to that association. You have to belong to the association. It's what's called a deed restriction, I believe. It's language that's in the deed of your house that says, in order to own this house, you have to agree to be in the association. It's legal, it's in there, you can't take it out just by the nature of the way that it's written. I'm not an attorney, but I'm pretty sure that, what was this guy's name? Thomas, when he says he seceded from his HOA, can't legally do that because he has a deed on his property. So I don't know. Good luck, Thomas. The primary reason why HOAs exist in the first place is, obviously the reason that I said about people parking their cars all over the lawn and everything like that. But no, really, in reality, the reason why HOAs exist is because when a development is created, if there's any common areas or unused space or property that needs to be owned by someone. It needs to be owned by an entity. In this case, that entity is an association of the other homeowners. It doesn't make sense for anybody else to own that entity or to own that unused property or common area other than the HOA. Now, there are, of course, some exceptions. There's some neighborhoods around here where you may have commercial residential development where it's all kind of mixed into one. You might find that the commercial developer or who still owns that portion of the property may actually own some of the common areas in the residential part. That's a little bit of a different thing, but in most cases, that common area may just be a small patch of grass at the entry of the association. It could be anything. The primary reason why you pay homeowners association fees is to cover the expenses associated with that common area. So that could be taxes, that could be insurance, that could be maintenance if it's an area of grass where they actually cut it. It could be woods, it could be something that nobody really maintains, it's just there. Somebody's still got to pay property tax on it. The township's not just going to let it sit there. And they don't want it. They'd rather collect property taxes on it than have somebody try to donate it to them in most cases. Sometimes they do want it. So, again, those common areas could include playgrounds. It could include swimming pools. It could include, sidewalks and walking trails and park benches and things like that. Now, of course, all of those things are going to require more upkeep. So there's going to be more money required, more expense for maintenance, insurance, probably property taxes, and things like that. Now, you could also include maintenance on the individual properties if the homeowners got together and elected that they wanted to, maybe they get a better rate if they hire one company to cut 100 yards than if all 100 of those people went out separately and hired somebody to pay just their yard individually, right? So homeowners can elect as members of that association to hire maintenance and things like that on their individual properties. But the primary reason that HOA exists is for the common areas that are owned by everyone in the association. Most HOAs will use a third-party management company. That's just to handle the accounting and the logistics that, again, go into paying those taxes, paying for that maintenance, maybe scheduling maintenance, whatever it may be there. That management company is not the HOA. That management company works for the HOA. Again, you are the HOA. As a homeowner, you're a member of that association. You've gotten together with the other homeowners, and maybe this happened before you moved in. Maybe, you've never been to a meeting, any of that stuff, but homeowners got together and voted on this at some point and decided they were going to hire a third-party company to handle the accounting and the logistics. Maybe even that company will be contracted as the first line of enforcement on some of the rules, regulations, and covenants in the neighborhood. But they do not create the rules and regulations. And they are typically only the first level or first line of enforcement when it comes to those things. Depending on the covenants and depending on the rules and regulations and what's been written up and agreed to by all the homeowners in the association, there may be fines or something like that for somebody violating it. That company, as the people who handle the accounting and the logistics, may issue the piece of paper that says you have a fine, but they're typically not the ones collecting the money. That money would go, probably to the homeowners association into a reserve account that would, again, goes to pay those taxes or something like that. So the important thing, and I've got notes written down here, so that's why I'm looking down. These rules, the rules, regulations, and covenants are required by PA law to be provided and disclosed to the potential buyer of a property prior to the closing, right? So we have our standard documents, our standard sales agreements, and in those sales agreements, it states that if there is a homeowners association, the seller has so many days to order what we call a resale packet, but that would include those rules, regulations, covenants, and all of that. Our agreement outlines the time period that the buyer has to review those documents and decide, do I actually want to live in this neighborhood, or is this too much for me? I've never had anybody say there's way too many rules and regulations in this neighborhood, we're just not going to live here. But if you were on the fence about it, that might be something, it's a protection in there to make sure that you don't accidentally end up moving into a house with rules and regulations that you didn't know about or that you didn't want. Like all those people complaining about how nobody else can tell them what they're going to do with their property. Somebody else told them what they were going to do with the property before they even bought the property. So I don't know what they're talking about. What else do I have written down here? So sometimes in the homeowners association, there may not even be rules, regulations, and covenants. That common area that we referred to, that could be 1/10 of an acre, strip of grass with a street light on it and a marquee sign or something like that costs, $1,000 a year to maintain. Divide that cost by, 50 homeowners, and it's $20 a year homeowners association fee. This is one of the reasons primarily why you don't want to rule out any neighborhood just because it has a homeowners association fee. There's no rules, there's no regulations, it's costing you $25 a year. Why would you rule that out if the house and everything about it is what you want? In a condo, this is the one last thing that I'm going to say. In a condo, you have what's called a condo association. It basically operates the same. The primary difference being that condos are naturally going to have more common areas, so they're going to have higher expenses in terms of those taxes, insurance, and property maintenance of those common areas. So the reason why, I've talked about this before, typically with a condo, you own from the walls in and from the floor to the ceiling. So the condo association may, and probably in a lot of cases, actually owns the exterior walls of the building, the roof, the property that it's on, the yard, the driveway, the sidewalks, and all of that. Typically, when you have a condo, your insurance is going to be a little bit cheaper because part of your association fees is going to pay the master policy, which insures all of those common areas. Depending on the covenants and the rules and regulations in your condo, you may still be required to maintain the exterior of your house, the expense or cost of the roof. You may have to still shovel the driveway. You may have to shovel the sidewalks. You may not. It's all about what the members of that association, the people who own condos, what they came together and what they agreed they wanted to pay for individually and what they agreed they wanted to come together and pay for it collectively, whether it was for a discount or whatever purposes. So that's the facts on homeowners associations and condo associations. My personal opinion, my professional opinion, don't rule out a property just because it has a homeowners association. If you're looking at a townhouse or a condo or something like that, you're probably going to have a homeowners association, and you probably should. If you go into the city, you look at some row houses, things like that, where they are attached units that don't have an association, everybody does what they want, you'll probably see a lot of examples of why homeowners association might not be a bad idea in those cases. But again, I think it's a good idea all the time. I have a homeowners association. The last house we lived in had a homeowners association. We don't mind it one bit. We actually love it. And that's all I got to say. So if you have any other questions about homeowners associations, condos, buying, selling, investing, please reach out to me and my team. We'd love to help you. My contact information will be in this post, below, above, over, wherever you're watching this. Reach out to us.